Welcome back to the International Tax Law course, and today I'm very happy to introduce you Dr. Paolo Visconti. Dr. Paolo Visconti was a student of University of Trento, and now he works in Milano at a firm law, Carmini Law and Associates. We would have preferred to have him physically in Trento, of course, but current events do not allow it. Hopeful in the next year. However, we are grateful that he also wanted to participate to the International Tax Law course with a very important argument. Transfer pricing. We speak about transfer pricing in our lesson, but it's very important to go deep and deep in this argument.
Specific focus on this issue.
Yes. So,
thank you, Paolo. And the phone is yours.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So, good morning to everyone. To introduce the subject, we can see that in the international market nowadays, there are a lot of multinational groups that operate among different countries and making many cross-border transactions. And in this context, there are several tax issues, such as one of them is transfer pricing for sure. And this is due to different and contrasting interests. On one hand, we have the states that want to guarantee the legitimate right to tax the profits of the companies resident in their territory. On the other hand, we have multinational groups that want to maximize their profits, and that could mean they will try to shift profit from a company resident in a normal tax regime to a company resident in a country with a lower tax burden, for example. In order to do that, the multinational groups could try to manipulate and bargain the prices of the transactions, and this is the main object of transfer pricing discipline, because transfer price is actually the price of the transaction between two related companies that are resident at least in two different countries. What does we consider as tax residence? Tax residence is what actually determines the right of the state to tax the profits of a company. We have in the international context a lot of theories to determine if a company is resident in a country or in another one. The two main theories are the incorporation theory and the real estate theory. The first one, according to the first one, a company is resident in a country where it has been incorporated. And on the other hand, the real estate theory provides that a company is resident where it has its real estate. This theory is the mostly largely applied in the international context, and in Italy too. Actually, in fact, we can see that tax residence is defined by Article 73, Paragraph 3 of the Consolidated Income Tax Act, that essentially provided that a company is resident in Italy if it has in Italy for more than 183 days per year its registered office or its head office or its main activity, business activity. The other preliminary definition is the definition of control. It's important to underline that in order to talk about transfer pricing, we need we need a transaction between two related companies that they are under a common control, for example. And the definition of control is not set in the transfer pricing documentation. We can find an ambiguous and general definition of control in the OECD Model Tax Convention, that in Article 9 provided that a company control another company if it participates directly or indirectly in the management, control, or capital of another enterprise. We can see quite easily that this control definition is quite ambiguous and a bit useless in the concrete application of transfer pricing discipline. For this reason, the case law, the jurisprudence, and the Italian tax authorities have provided a different definition of control relevant for transfer pricing purposes. And the actual definition is being able to exercise a decisive influence on another company. And this decisive influence could be both economic influence or an influence due to the participation in the equity of the company. Here we have an example of how transfer pricing does work. We have a company A resident in Luxembourg, but it is subjected to a favorable tax regime that controls a company B resident in UK. And the company resident in UK is subjected to a normal tax regime at more or less the tax rate, I think it's 27% or something like that, if I'm not wrong. Company A sells steel to company B, but after that produces goods that sells all over the Europe to independent companies. The prices set in the transaction between company B and the independent companies are set at the free market prices. This is because they derive from a negotiation between independent companies with contrasting interests. On the other hand, we can understand that the prices set in the transaction between company A and company B could be at could be not at the market price. This is because company A and company B could be a common interest to maximize profit, that could mean shifting the profit from UK to Luxembourg. The profits that are taxed in the UK are the profits of company B. Company B profits derives from the incomes of selling goods all over the Europe, minus the cost deriving from the production of the goods and the purchasing of them. The cost of purchasing the goods are the prices paid to company A. So if we increase the prices of the transaction between company A and company B, it's quite easy to understand that the profits of company B decrease and the profits taxed in Luxembourg will increase on the other hand. And this is how transfer pricing works in a concrete application, more or less. A simple concrete application. In order to avoid the profit shifting deriving from transfer pricing policies, tax authorities could adjust the prices of the transaction in order to set the prices to a so-called arm's length prices. The arm's length principle or method or standard is the all over the world applied method to determine transfer prices. And in extreme summary, a price is at the arm's length if it is consistent with the prices that would have been set in a transaction between independent companies. So in the previous example, we can assume that the UK tax authorities would probably reduce the prices of the transaction between A and B in order to tax an higher profit in UK. Okay. Moving on to the actual transfer pricing documentation, you can see that transfer pricing was born in the United States in the early 90s, but the first actual document was published in 1923, and it was the report and the resolution on double taxation and tax evasion. After that, we can find some documents. Here are a list of the maybe most important ones. The first one was the OECD report, the so-called transfer pricing and multinationals, published in 1979. After that, we had the well-known transfer pricing guidelines, published in 1995, and after that, revised in 2010 and 2017. And the action plan and base erosion and profit shifting, published by OECD as well. And finally, we can see the practical manual on transfer pricing for developing countries, published by UN in 2013. This is essentially a document that is consistent with the transfer pricing guidelines, but it has a special focus on the issues of developing countries' tax authorities. Of course, the problem of transfer pricing was faced by European Union too, especially in order to avoid double taxation between the member states. Firstly, the European Council has established the Joint Transfer Pricing Forum in 2002. And this forum had issued a lot of documents, such as the report on transfer pricing documentation drafted in 2005. By the way, despite the fact that that does not actually discipline transfer pricing, it's important to underline and to mention the European Arbitration Convention that the member states have signed in the 90s. This convention was signed in order to avoid double taxation between countries, and we can see that double taxation could take place when different countries applied different rules for transfer pricing purposes. For example, we have here the most common case. We have if a company A, resident in country A, sells goods to company B, resident in country B, at the prices of 100 euros. Country B's tax authority adjusts the prices paid by company B, setting them at the market price of 80 euros. This could due to increase of the taxable profits of company B, an increase of 20 euros. By the way, if the country A's tax authority does not correspondingly reduce the transfer prices of the transaction for the same amount that the prices are increased in country B, we can see that the same amount of 20 euros will be taxed in both the taxed twice actually, once in country A and once in country B. In order to avoid the double taxation, so the member states have signed the European Arbitration Convention, and this convention has the scope to establish a procedure to to resolve transfer pricing problems between tax authorities and member states. And this procedure is called Mutual Agreement Procedure, so-called MAP. And through an MAP, the tax authorities would negotiate an arm's length price for the transaction that could be accepted for both the tax authorities. And doing so, they would seek to avoid double taxation between the member states and the companies. And talking about the Italian regulation of transfer pricing, you can see that the discipline is provided by Article 110, paragraph 7 of the above-mentioned Consolidated Income Tax Act. And this article essentially establishes that the Italian tax authority could adjust the price of transactions between controlled entities if the prices are different from the free market prices that would have been set in a transaction between independent companies. After this article was recently revised in 2017 in order to make the Italian legislation consistent with the OECD guidelines. And after that, the Italian government has recently published the ministerial decree of 14th of May 2018. And in this decree, they have essentially reported all the suggestions of OECD guidelines that before was not followed by the Italian tax authorities. And maybe, yeah. See, and so this is okay.
Well, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for this first part. If you agree with us, we can make a little break now after this introduction principle, very interesting, of the general overview of the framework, both European but also Italian one. And now I think that before approach the arm's length principle, we make a 5 minutes break. Are you agree with us?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, okay.